Okay, that's it. Now I know I'm in sort of middle of the. I have a couple, let's say, 5 minutes for the next two steps. No.
I think you have time.
I have time?
Yeah, we have 25 minutes.
Oh, sorry, I thought it would be like take it back. No, I have this philosophy that, well, actually it's a software inspection philosophy. Do you know software inspection? Program inspection? There is one rule, which is meetings should not be longer than 2 hours. Okay. Do you know that rule? Does anybody know why? Because it is proven by very good people, because I know that in science they are skeptical about our colleagues from the other department, but I know there are colleagues and they are very good, and they say that the human attention falls down starts falling down after 1 hour and falls down completely after 2 hours. So as a younger professor, I actually was going to classes 4 hours in a row. And it's not only my attention that was falling down. And now I tend to actually have breaks every hour. So I can go ahead half an hour. Okay, sorry, I mixed. So next, K-tail, simple idea. Get the tree with all possible executions, and then merge states according to the similarity station, you get the final state, an approximated final state machine. A final state machine that approximates, they observe the behavior with the traces. Dicom take sets of values and try to eliminate the condition that do not hold on that set of values, and at some point, through a bit more complicated, but not that much, you get invariance in the system. Adabo, I like that because it's a very nice evolution, which is basically this one. You get you combine static analysis with dynamic analysis. Now, the key issue is go back to K-tail for a moment, if you can. You remember? Actually, you don't have to remember. Okay, so my nice stupid. So that's already a machine. Tree. Okay, you remember. Do you have any idea what does 3 stand for or 6 stand for? So we started with the traces, okay? Do you have any clue that, for example, there is a state that represents the fact that I've been there after an A or after a pair of A's? Or hopefully not, because if you have, hopefully yes, because you get the Turing award, but I don't see a way to actually get. There is not this information. So I merge states because of the future, and I have no idea whether the states are meaningful or meaningless. They work well because they actually accept the strings. But if you ask myself, okay, so basically your final machine, final state machine is actually. Oh yes, I recognize that's actually the way to push and pop the behavior of a stack, because of course that actually of course nothing. I have no idea what I actually got. Not because I got starting from a random set of traces. If I had a real set of traces, no idea. Now Adabo goes beyond that and says this. Says basically, okay, stop a moment. First, create the states and then add the transitions. So easily you get. Okay, I give you it works for Java code, of course, so it can be generalized, but let's see if we get the example. You get the inspectors and non-inspectors, mutators. Okay, inspectors are methods that do not change the state. Okay, mutators are elements that do change the state. Okay, and then you actually instrument the code, and you actually identify all the inspectors that's easy, and then you execute all the inspectors before the mutators. For example, this is a simplified version of the vector Java and the Java library. Okay, so now the class vector in Java has, I think, we identified 8 or 12 inspectors. I tried to fit all of them in a slide, but I thought 3 would actually be good enough. Okay, but you can do that for the real example. Okay, we found 3 major inspections: is empty, capacity, and size. And then basically what we can do is about if I start with the state which is empty, 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 and I initiate, I get true 20, 0. Okay. If I add from true 20, 0, I get the false 21. Okay. So basically what I do, I use the inspector to find evidence or represent or get characteristic of the state. Make sense? Okay. And then at that point, what you do, you start with the inspectors and you simply build a concrete state, and then you actually use the modifiers, and then you actually see the result. And then what you do is you actually abstract from concrete to abstract representation. So you say, okay, if my variable is a Boolean variable, it can be true or false. Okay. So if so for Boolean or information value, I can also get concrete values. If it's actually a numeric variable, I don't have to say 10, 20, 25, 14, 12. It can be 0 or greater than less than 0. So basically, I have this sort of fairly simple, not simple, operators that abstract from the concrete values. And so what you do is basically you start with this, with the traces, with the representation of the different mutators, which are computed by calling all the inspectors, the mutator and all the inspectors again, and then you actually match down, focusing only on one variable, which is enter not empty, and I can deduce them from the inspectors and from my operators. I abstract and say is enter not empty, and then from the matrix, I can actually build the final state machine, which is yet another final state machine. The great thing is that, before, if I had started with the same set of elements and the k-tail, which may actually resemble this one, but there is no connection here, you actually start by saying, okay, I care about only the emptiness of the stack. It can be empty or not empty. Okay. I get the concrete values for before and after the exclusion of each method. But I can tell you where the method go and come from. And so I can build a machine which is true. It's a sort of more realistic representation, again, not of the system, but of the observed behavior of the system. All right? Last, GK-tail. Well, GK-tail is very simple. Basically, we started with k-tail, and it's called GK-tail because it's an extension of k-tail. And then second, I gave you a diagram, and actually gives you information. Now, we started, honestly, we were working with k-tail because we thought it was a great idea to actually abstract from the system, get some information, update the information. I'd like you to go back for a moment. I'd like you to go back for a moment to the system. At the very beginning we started by saying we want to actually build models and update models at that time. And then we said, okay, why don't we actually look at final state models, which seems to be the easy way. And then we moved on the easy way. And we started saying, okay, we can actually, at this point, basically build our final state machine, and then we can use that information in the way I show you, and fail. Failure because we had some information, but not enough information. Then we went back and we looked at the icon, we got the information, nice information, failure again. The question is that the experience is that building the model we need is difficult, so I give you one example of how we did it. We actually put the two information together. Now, this is basically the idea is this is a simple final state machine that represents a component class that actually add pictures or add items to a catalog. Okay, you can either add only an item or add an item and a picture. Okay, and so this is a good representation, but actually is imprecise because you need not only to know that in the initial state you can either an item or a picture, but also or move to another state, but also that if you add only if the picture is empty, then you stay in the same state. If it's not empty, you move to another state. Very simple. Can we deduce that? Can we infer that then automatically from the system? Again, Not because we are lazy, we don't want to do that manually, but because then we can actually update why the system is running, so we can learn from the system evolution, from the system modification, from everything. Okay? So yes, we can. And we did it in this way. We did it in 3 steps: merge, derive, guard, and synthesize extended final state machines. Now I'll show you very quickly the 3 steps, okay, so that you get some information. I have a set of traces. As usual, I start with a small subset of the several thousand traces we got from the system. Okay, and we have start also from name of the variable. So basically, it's actually we invoke M1 with parameter x equals 0, then M1 with parameter x equals 1, then M1, and you have actually sequences of methods, and you have parameters on the sequence invocation. Now, the merge basically means you get traces that are the same in sequence of method invocation, regardless of the parameters, regardless of the values. And you might merge them together. So basically, in this case, on the 4 traces, you have like the first one, M1, 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 M2, M3, M1, M2, and the third one, M1, M1, M2, M3, M1, M2 are the same in terms of sequences of methods. The other 2 are not. So we merge the 2 of them. So we move from 4 traces to case 3. Usually you merge much more, but of course. Okay. And that's easy. Basically, you ignore the values and you merge. And then the next step is for each of the method. Okay, when you merge, you save not only the method name, but also all the sets of values that are attached to the method. So if I go back a bit, okay, on that one I have undo x equals 0, y equals 0, and then on the trace M3 is x equals 0, y equals 0. And so for each of them I have several different, you see down there, we have several different pairs of values. And what we do intuitively is simply apply dipole. Of course, the example is fake. Why? This is not a good application. Yeah. Okay, I rephrase the question. Is it true to say that x equals 0 and y is between 0 and 20 is likely invariants already? No. Okay. The answer is no, obviously, because we lack statistical evidence. So on two data points we cannot. Okay, but it's about, and in general it does work actually. And then basically what we do is we start with an annotated initial tree, okay, which before was just states and transitions. Now it's state, transitions, and annotations. So it's not only the method, but also the invariant as deduced by dipole. And we use 2 different, and we look at the k-future. So easy merge between dipole and k-tail. Okay. As usual, we look at the 2 future. So the 2 future of node A is actually M3, M1, lost one M, M2, sorry, M3 with Z equal UK, M1 with X equal Y, and so on, okay?
The sun is coming. They react to the sun.
I have another story, but I don't want to spend The 2 future of 0 is that one. So basically, the 2 future is as before. Hopefully you remember that. 2 steps ahead. Now, before we actually merged, if the future were the same. Oh no, not anymore, because we have 2 ideas. Idea number 1, k-tail. Long history, look ahead, events ahead of length k, 2. Second point is we also learn from dipole that we don't only need to look ahead, but we need to say that if x is equal to 0, and x is less than 0, x is less than equal to 0, x is equal to 0. So we want to have 2 information, which is basically that if the look ahead is a method M1 in my state, is method M1 in the other state. And if in one case x is equal to 0, in the other case x is less than equal to 0, we can merge. So basically we move on and start from the equivalent, from the 2 future, we define 3 different, I go very fast because I don't understand. But basically the idea is we define what we call 2 equivalents, which in a nutshell means that you cannot distinguish neither the steps nor the values, the invariants. We actually use weakly subsumes, which basically we ignore the value, the invariants, or consider inclusion of invariants, but we actually look at the same set of traces. And we got strong subsumptions where we actually have even more inclusion between methods and values. Okay? Now, I can spend much more time to give you the details, but the core idea is merge states is the two future which is related. In KT, the relation was simply exactly the same method calls. Here we define three ways, which depends on the method calls, which should be exactly the same, leading to exactly the same state, and invariants, which should be exactly the same, or one included in the other, or both invariants included and future. Okay. And then you get three different ways to actually get the system together. Now, I get to this one only, which is weak subsumption, k equal to why weak subsumption? The answer is obvious if you are a scientist, because that's the one it works. You know, you know how we write papers. You know, we try several things and then we say, oh, it's obviously the case that the one that didn't work has worked. No, I mean it's a joke. But in general, you know, the idea is we experiment with the three of them, and we ended up by noticing that weak subsumption was better than the others. Now, it's not absolute. I'll give you a bit of history. The criterion depends on the data you have. If you have a large sample, if you have a small sample, because basically if I execute with 3 traces, it's very unlikely that I have a lot of variety. If I execute with 300 traces, I bet better more variety. So it depends on the size of the sample, the variety of the sample. So we spent months just running different test cases to actually compare different things. And by the way, this is the status of the art up to last week. Tomorrow we will submit the camera ready of a new paper where we have a new criteria which works better. Same concept. I give you a very quick summary. I'm going to show you an example. Here, basically, what we do is we start with the initial 3, and then we notice that 10 and 3, there is a weak subsumption relation between the two of them, because in one case you actually move with z uk and then x equals 0 and uz equals 3. In the other way, you move with z equals uk, x equals 0 and uz equals 3, but also with z equals id. So basically, it's 3 is or 10 is weaker than 3. Okay, so we merge them. Okay, and then we continue in this way. We also notice that this is actually a weak subsumption. We merge them, and we get to a result, which in this case is not that fancy, but it can be much more intense. Now, before going ahead, one quick observation about the development of this technique. Do you have any feeling of what can be the bottleneck of this technique? It's a great technique, actually. We get a we increase the precision of the models by order of magnitude with respect to either of them, because none of the others, neither Kende, nor Daikon, nor Adabu, could actually put together things in the same way. But there were several weaknesses, actually. One is related to the merging criterion, another one is related to the k equal 2. I'll let you think for a moment, but I will tell you because I don't want to lose of your attention. You know? Think about how many times I need to call Daikon to compute the invariants? Very often, exactly. That's imprecise but great answer. Great. Exactly. I didn't want to go beyond that. Very often. It's actually, because, the process is basically, we actually merge traces, and then for each single trace, merge trace, for each single transition, we call Daikon. Now, if you are a Daikon user, anybody Daikon user here? Okay, Daikon is very, actually, I know Mike very well, we work together. Mike is the PhD student who actually created the Daikon first. and it's a great tool, it's very, very much used, but it is slow. And so it's much faster than you expect, but when you call it a couple of millions of times, you don't, you get the problem that in the weekend the people switch off the computer because they clean up the lab, and to get the model you need more than 1 weekend for time. So actually, the next step has been, and I didn't switch it like yet, but basically is instead of merging traces, first merge traces and they use all together, and so you get something which is much more efficient because you actually reduce by order of magnitude the code to the bottleneck. One other thing which actually I give you an example, and then you tell me what is the problem with decay. Okay, assume you actually have a system that works on files. Open a file, read, write, read, close the file. Open a file, read, read, close the file. Another sequence is open, read, close. Another one is open, close. Another one is open, read, close. Another one. Can you get some feeling where we can get wrong? Take the traces, create the initial tree, merge states that are similar up to length 2. Okay, so 2 reads are similar to 2 reads. 1 read and 1 write are similar to 1 read and 1 write. 1 open. What is the obvious connection between with the open? Is read, write, or close? Are you interested in whether it happens that after the open you get a read or write, or whether soon or later you get a close? Obviously that one. And that's the crisis. That the crisis because anything that is actually not very locally related cannot be captured with K, no matter how big it is. Okay? And again, I don't want to actually jump into the details unless you're interested in the second part of the talk, but basically the core idea is that we actually merge this initial system with another system that captures, synthesizes temporal logic assertions from these traces. So you get traces, and it tells you things like close happens always after open. Read and write are interleaved at the same time. Again, partial information which joined with the K-tail, joined with that gives you a model which at that point really depends almost only on the quality of the sound. And then if you put that together with a weekend of random run, you get something which is really solid. Okay? Now, stop. We got to the point of getting the models from the system. Now, again, why the hell didn't I start just drawing final state models in 5 minutes and going ahead? Because the key issue is we monitor system, we do not have full requirements, we don't have full information, system evolves, system changes, and this is the way to capture that. Now, once we capture that, actually the first paper we published was almost 10 years ago now, so it was almost before starting working on self-healing. Why it's important? Now, the next step is, can we actually use them to identify behavioral anomalies and locate failures? And I say anomalies and not the failures, because the key issue is, I would like to understand whether I can look at something that is not natural. It's a system crash. That's easy, we don't care. We do care, actually, but we don't need our system to care about it. Now, it's a subtle problem, like, the behavior that we've not experienced before, but related to a bad system. And can we actually say what it is? So basically, we move to that part. We started, I hope you remember, we started from we started from models and monitors, and now we move on to the other part, okay? And So basically the key issue is, you remember we have the actual behavior, the inferred behavior, and the legal behavior. So basically you have the legal behavior, which is what you expect the system to do. You have the inferred behavior, which can be an over or under approximation of the system behavior, and a failing behavior, which is what you expect the system should not do. And then you suppose, what you actually can have is you can have something which is legal and inferred. Correct. Legal, not inferred. You hopefully can make use of that to improve your inference. Inferred but not legal. Again, you hopefully can actually use that to improve your inference. Or happen, not legal, not inferred. And that's actually the system. So basically what you want to do, you want to be able to distinguish between the 4 different cases. Okay, the question is, there is one case which is easily distinguishable. Anybody wants to win a coffee? So we can. Yes, if you say which one is it, I stop. Which is the one? It's obvious, the legal and inferred. If what happens is what I inferred should happen, it's easy. Okay? But the other 3 are difficult. We don't want to actually, we can infer that it's not legal and not inferred. So we can infer easily the complement. Right? It has happened and it's not inferred. But we want to actually see whether we have a way to say whether it's actually a Seldon anomaly or a real fail. Okay? One little story to make you laugh, hopefully before the coffee, is we tried this system and we got a real system, actually I think is on the next slide. Yes, it's Tomcat. We took Tomcat, I don't tell you what it's. We took Tomcat, okay, we took Tomcat, we built our fantastic system after months and months of refinements and corrections. And no, it's working. Then we actually run the system, monitor the system, everything was legal. No single sequence with legal behavior. Now, think about Tomcat, and you get a prize if you tell me after the coffee what it was different in every single execution with Tomcat. Any clue? One more bit of information. We run Tomcat on IP dynamically assigned addresses. Okay, of course, every run IP is different, and would you think that my partners, who is Huawei, by the way, would actually be happy if we actually find out that we report every single time someone in the whole network would use a different IP? Okay, we get coffee, come back and tell you how we do that.